Okay, good day everyone. So this presentation is the presentation of Group 1 and 4. So the topic that was assigned for us is all about the process of ship construction. So group members, presenters, Midshipman Aguila, Midshipman Alcantara, Midshipman Alibang, Midshipman Dominguez, Midshipman FABRO, Midshipman GAJOLEN, Midshipman IDIOMA, Midshipman LEYSICO, Midshipman MARJES, Midshipman MILALLOS, Midshipman RAZA, Midshipman TABLADA, and Midshipman UNDECIMO. And yours truly, Midshipman DIAZ Oliver. So this is the work of Group 1 and 4, Ship Operation and Shipyard Practices. Next slide, please. So the process of construction in terms of the process of ship building. So aluminum alloys have been widely used in the construction of light, small-sized vessels, while special metals such as titanium have been used in a particular cases. So basically, aluminum alloys have been widely used in construction of light, small-sized vessel. So these are not currently used in an industrial scale and are therefore not included in this presentation. Next slide, please. So when in terms of manufacturing process, the manufacturing process for steel or aluminum vessels is similar and therefore one description is given for both processes. So the greatest differences are those inherent in the difference in vessel size. Aluminum vessels have a much smaller volume than steel vessels. So the sheet metal used is therefore thinner and can be cut, bent, and soldered more easily than that used in the construction of large ship. So apart from requiring great skill in metal working techniques, the construction of a ship also calls for professionalism and knowledge for numerous technical sectors, such as erection of scaffolding for construction, the hull and plating, electrical wiring, raising and moving the operation, sandblasting, cleaning and painting, and all details of fitting out. So, next slide please. So this part will be reported by our Midshipman FABRO.
Good day, I'm Midshipman FABRO and this is my report, the show of the summary of the manufacturing cycle. Then, the first stage of this cycle is the receiving material. Then the second stage is offloading stockings. Then the offload means in stock is transit to get something or separate the materials that you need or not to build the ship. Then after that, after you separate the materials you must need to deliver to each department. The next one is the Naval Workshop. The Naval Workshop that have the two categories, the mechanical cutting and the acetylene torch cutting. Then the scorial removal. The scorial removal is to melting a metal using fire. Then the sheet metal or plate forming. After that is called the shortening. The next stage is the small prefabrication. Then after the small fabrication, assembly, then welding. And the next one is large prefabrication. Same thing as to the small fabrication, assembling, and then welding. After that, the stock next stage is hull assembly, then welding to create. Then hydraulic test, hull cleaning, hull painting, then launching cradle. Next one is initial fitting out, then taking onto the machinery installation, then the engine test, plant completion, and internal painting. And after that, all is to sea trials, and then taking on supplies. And then the next reporter.
So, next slide, please. May I call on Midshipman UNDECIMO? Okay, while waiting, let me allow to define the shipbuilding. So basically, the shipbuilding industry has over the years developed the construction of ships with hulls and structures in the steel. So for some decades, now other construction materials such as metal alloys have been introduced by Midshipman FABRO. So may I call on Midshipman Undecisimo? Okay, let's skip while waiting. Let's skip this part. Next slide, please. Now may I call on Midshipman Marjes?
Good day everyone, my name is Marjes Angelo and this is my report. The Naval Workshop. The Naval Workshop can be considered the starting point in the manufacturing cycle. Here the sheet metal and section that will be used in constructing the hull. The plating, the internal and external structures are laid out, cut and formed. Cutting operations are always preceded by tracing and are carried out in different ways depending on the material used, the size of the steel, plate, and the shape that is to be cut. Mechanical cutting is carried out by machine tools and is allowed by cleaning of the sheet metal to remove any off cuts. So yeah, oxygen cutting whether using oxypropane, oxyacetylene, or plasma is carried out by specialized operatives either with the help of a pantograph or by hand using a simple etcher. Then next slide. Yeah, each type of requires particular machinery and tools along with the appropriate system for moving pieces, small cranes or hoist, etc. towards the machine. After each cutting operations, the work area must be cleaned of cuts and waste. The fabrication of non-heavy rough pieces is begun in the Naval Workshop and sheet metal and section are put together here. Finishing operations carried out in the Naval Workshop include the molding of semi-work products which are delivered the various departments. These pieces may be used for assembly of both small and large fabrication, prefabrication, as well as directly on the stocks. Thank you.
Now may I call on Midshipman Alcantara to report mechanical workshop. Thank you.
This is Midshipman Alcantara to report the mechanical workshop. The mechanical workshop features in many manufacturing cycles, as it produces all the elements for installing machinery on board, such as supports, joints, anti-vibration couplings, pipework, valves, and pumps. Numerous operations are carried out here, such as cutting, molding, welding, cleaning, and sandblasting of the metal parts which form part of the machinery on board. Next. The mechanical workshop also carries out maintenance work of on-site machinery, lifting mechanisms, and operating machinery. In large shipyards, the mechanical workshop has specified departments for working pipes and for welding easily transportable pieces. Next. So for the prefabrication, small prefabrication involves the assembly where necessary by welding of sheet metal and pipework to form small sized pieces such as walkways, etc. The welding is either done electrically or using gas in inert atmosphere. So the main aim of large-scale prefabrication, which can be done both in parallel or in series with small prefabrication, is the construction of semi-work items which make up elements in the base structure and plating. When assembling with the appropriate walls of insulation and soundproofing, this type of prefabrication can produce almost complete blocks, which are then used to construct the ships. Next. Interiors are made of wood, which come from the shipyard, carpenters, and from other materials, which are previously worked in the appropriate department. The materials used must retain their characteristic in a marine environment. Different blocks of the ship are then constructed contemporaneously in different islands, thus providing for better work organization and, most importantly, reducing the overall construction time. Okay, for work from the ground is carried out using safety platforms, parapets, scaffolding, elevator, platforms, and cranes, all of which are essential for working at high level on the blocks. As work progresses, it becomes necessary to work in restricted spaces, particularly when carrying out interior work on small cabins carved out of the block. Excuse me. For the sandblasting and painting. After assembly, which is one more accomplished by welding, the parts are then sanded using jets of sand directed at the metal surfaces. The simultaneously cleans and primes. The clean surface is then covered with a protective paint or primer, which preserve it against the oxidizing effect of damp air and other aggressive agents. These operations are carried out in a different place so that where the item was constructed, and it is therefore necessary to move the blocks on trolleys or cranes to the shed, which are specially equipped for such operations. Next. Thank you.
So next is construction of the stocks will be reported by Midshipman Alibang. Thank you.
Thank you for that. This is Midshipman Alibang and I will report the construction on the stocks and cleaning and painting. First is construction on the stocks. The completed blocks are then assembled on the stocks with the help of a bridge crane. The stocks may consist either of two large slipways or by a dock with an opening towards the sea. The various blocks are fixed together and then welded, thus creating the vessel. So, in addition to assembly, during this phase, many of the other operations which render the vessel operative are carried out. Next, please. Okay, during the phase of on the stocks construction, all the internal and external finishing operations are carried out on the hull in order to guarantee that the vessel will float and to complete the parts that will be underwater following the launch. So, tests are carried out on the hydraulics, the electrical wiring system, and under pressure, on the pipework and tanks, particularly for those ships which are to be used for the transport of pressurized liquids. Next, please. Okay, so next is the cleaning and painting. The final operations prior to launch are those of cleaning and painting of the hull. It should be pointed out that all the construction operations described above, such as welding during the assembly of the blocks and cleaning and painting, involve the use of platforms and scaffolding for the workers and hoists for the machine tools used. That's all. Thank you.
So, for launch, may I call on Midshipman Raza to report this part? Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Once again, good day, everyone. I am Midshipman Raza, and I am tasked to report about these next slides, starting from this launch. So launching operations depend on the type of stocks used. In practice, when the vessel is mounted on a shipway, the stocks are removed and the ship is left to slide into the sea. When the vessel has been assembled in a dry dock, so the dock is filled with water. So this is the most exciting part on the shipbuilding, when we see all the hard work starting from the very start, which is yung paglalagay ng mga foundation dun sa ship natin, and then hanggang dun sa pinakang huling part, which is yung painting, and then andito na tayo sa most exciting part, which is the launching. So we have watched a lot of launching videos of ships. There are a lot on TikTok and Facebook, and watching from the camera itself, it is very satisfying to see that these ships, which are launched on the body of water, will become our home on the sea once we become a seafarer one day. Next slide. So for the fitting out, operations of loading and installing machinery and fitting out can be carried out both on solid ground or on the stocks and after launching. In general, it is better to carry out these operations on solid ground, particularly for work which must be done in limited space or where communication hatches leading to adjacent areas are restricted. These works include finishing operations and all other auxiliary services carried out with the aim of making the ship fit for navigation. So some of the most important of these are the services for dealing with situations of flood or fire. Those intended for the crew or passengers, for example, bunks, kitchens, etc. Navigational services such as command and route finding equipment, and services connected to the distribution of electricity produced by the auxiliary generator, which runs on engine or turbines. So during fitting out, plant and machinery are completed and tested. So the cabins are painted and the last finishing operations are finished. So next slide. So the last phases of the manufacturing cycle are sea trials, which are essential for testing the propulsion system, operability and control equipment, and safety systems for navigation, both for crew and passengers. So In general, a preliminary trial is carried out prior to the official one. So these sea trial are most commonly known as the Maiden Voyage. So Maiden Voyage, they are the very first voyage of the ship when they are trying to test the propulsion, like the one mentioned here. So it is very important for a ship because they will know what are the capacity or the working performance of the ship once it is sailing on the open ocean. So as we all know, the Titanic had its maiden voyage, but unfortunately it is the first and last voyage of the famous Titanic, because they overestimated the capacity of the ship, which is not applicable, because from the one said here, sea trials and delivery are only meant for testing the ship and how it will perform in the open ocean. I'm not expecting a lot from it. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you.
So for summary of this part, may I call on Midshipman Idioma? Thank you.
Midshipman Idioma. Right, everyone. the reporter of this part. To summarize the description of the production of the ship, it is possible to subdivide the activity into two major processes: actual construction of the vessel and its fitting out. Operation begins with construction, but as well proceed, two activities are carried out together. So what are these two activities? So the greatest difference between these two operations is in the place in which they are carried out. Construction operations are often done in the open areas with the help of cranes and high-level platforms. Only rarely is it necessary to work in closed places such as cabin inside the vessel, which are narrow, badly lit, and few exits. All the fitting out operation, however, carried inside of the ship in restricted places. So next. So this is the diagram, the process. So first is the hydrostatic test, hull cleaning, hull painting, launching cradle, then launch. So yung second process is initial fitting out, taking on machinery installations. Then after the two process, next is the engine test, plan completion, internal painting, sea trials, and taking on supplies. Yun lang po. Next is
So, for this part, the process of building process, midshipman DIAZ. So there are various processes for completing to build huge ships of 600 tons by own weight. All processes are essential to build a ship with a complicated functions for sailing, loading cargoes, and crew living. So, as the vessels near completion, a number of tests are made. So the naval architecture makes a careful assessment of the weight of the finished ship and checks its stability and loading particulars by reference to data for ship's light weight and the center of gravity obtained from a simple inclining experiment. So inclining tests also provide a check on calculations. So next slide, please. So for design, construction, may I call on Midshipman LEYSICO? Thank you.
So, good evening to everyone. This is Midshipman LEYSICO. Okay, the design is classified into basic design and detailed design. The basic design stage, we settle demands with the ship owner through the meeting and order beforehand, and make a plan overall to provide maximum performance in various limitations. So the basic design, this is where the specification of ships is contained and discussed, like the type of cargo that is intended for transport, or what are the cargo capacity, what are the main dimensions, ano yung required speed niya, and number of cabins. So the basic design is like the rough guide of what the ship owner like the ship to become. Next.
So this part will be reporting by Midshipman Dominguez. Thank you.
So good day everyone, this is Midshipman Dominguez and I will be reporting the drafting. So the design drafting is written by being scaled down and completed. So we cannot out the steel plate bird on the drawing. So in addition, we have the unfolded drawing on a plane shape because shape is constructed in a curved surface. So lofting means the work to make the model that we can out actually and assemble based on the design drawing. So we made a model of the original size before, but in recent years, we make outing data with computer. Next slide, please.
So for numerical control cutting, may I call on Midshipman Tablada? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. This is Midshipman Tablada Joshua. So I will discuss the numerical control cutting and bending. First is numerical control cutting based on the model made by Lofting. Numerical control cutting is the work actually cut out the form of the parts from the steel plates. Craftsmen have cut it with the cutting machine before, but now it is mechanized and is able to cut out the complicated form automatically when we input the data of the lofted drawing into the numerical control cutting machine. So it does the marking to fill in the name or the installation place of the parts at the same time. And next is bending. So bending, a ship consists. Next slide, please. So bending, a ship consists of complicated curved surface. So we need to bend the steel plate because it is a plane. Pushing it with a press machine or heating the surface by a gas burner, we bend it carefully little by little to match the model. So in a particular, as for the work to bend the smooth curved surface by thermal processing, most are done by hand by the skilled craftsmen, and it could be said craftsmanship. And that's all my report.
So for assembly of ship's construction process, may I call on Midshipman Millallos? Thank you.
Good evening, this is Midshipman Milallos and I'm the reporter of this part. Assembly. It is inefficient to construct a huge ship at a time. So we adopt the block construction method, which we divide the blocks according their size and assemble in the shipyard. So we will the parts perform NC cutting and bending and assembly in 3 dimensional blocks. Next slide, please. Block installation and assembly. We install and joint assembled blocks by right order on a building built by the crane and assemble them in the form of the final ship. We must fix them at the correct position because the shape of the ship is wrong if the fixed position of the block is wrong. So, however, the weight of the large block is close to 150 tons, so assembling needs serious technique and labor. That's all.
So for painting, may I call on Midshipman Aguila? Thank you.
I am Midshipman Aguila, the one who will report now. What is painting? Painting. When the assembly is over, the painting begins. The painting plays a big role not only to improve the appearance of the ship, but also in the safety to prevent from corrosion. So, furthermore, a painting standard is strengthened for complying with environmental problems. So, the painting is very important process on shipbuilding. And second, launching. What is launching? When the block installation and the painting are over, ship is floated on the sea for the first time. The building berth inclines to the direction of the sea, like a slide, and we let a ship slide on it and float on the sea. So, the launching is the tensest moment for our shipyard staff and is also the most important day on shipbuilding. This day is open to the public and we hold the launching ceremony. Launching ceremony splendidly. And the third is outfitting. What is outfitting? Outfitting means to equip the completed hull with pipes, an engine, and interiors and electric wires. By the launching, we finish the construction of approximately 70%. And after the launching, we let the ship moor at quay and do the rest of the construction. So, we do each of the inspection for equipment of hull fitting which completely steadily.
So next slide, please. So for trial of the process of shipbuilding, may I call on Midshipman GAJOLEN? Thank you.
This is Midshipman GAJOLEN reporting trial. After finish the outfitting, we apply performance tests such as a vessel speed and the turning by running a ship actually. We confirm to be satisfied with the contracted specification between between the owner and our shipyard. At the same time, we do the operation check and the function test so that the apparatus which we put on ship shows original performance. After we finish this trial run, we just wait for the date of delivery. Next slide.
Continue, Midshipman GAJOLEN.
Midshipman
Hello.
GAJOLEN.
Wait lang. Delivery.
Oh, yeah.
Ship leaves the shipyard and sets sail for the ocean at last. On that day, all crews gather and people of various nationalities come and go in our shipyard.
Before ending this presentation, can you please proceed to the materials for the continuation of report by ANJO UNDECIMO?
Okay,
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
nagka-glitch kanina. So the materials is the variety of manufactured products which to go pick up fitted out vessel and entails a wide range of different materials. This includes semi-work products such as metal sheeting and sections, finished products such as engines and items for fitting out, which vary according to the type of ship. So it be a petrol and dangerous substance carrier, a passenger ship, or a cruise ship. So the following particular are required: joinery and installation materials, products for sandblasting, cleaning and painting, gas and electrodes for soldering and welding, and oils for tool machines. So ang materials ay pinaka-importanting bagay sa sa shipbuilding. So on the arrival of material is offloaded from the relevant means of transport. Transport is depending on or land or sea, and sa size ng materials kung paano sila i-transport. So, i-check and stored sa warehouse. Tapos, pinag-aaralan yung pag-construct ng vessel which is made of steel, where this differs from the construction of other metal alloys, and difference is noted. So the movement depends on how shipyards is laid out. The metal, in the first place, the sheet metal section are delivered to Naval Workshop, and the rest of the materials delivered relevant departments. Large shipyards have general warehouse and houses materials of general use. So yung mga sheet metal and bulky goods are moved using gantry cranes, kasi sobrang bigat, hindi kaya ng ibuhatin ng mga tao. So kinakailangan ng mga technical use to para mabuhat yung mga materials such as gantry cranes, crane or on wheels, forklift trucks, wheel trucks. So sa ngayon, ang materials used on shipbuilding in today's world, there are four main materials used on building a ship or a vessel. When we talk of level of mass manufacturers, there are steel, aluminum, fiber reinforced plastic or FRP, and polyethylene. Yan yung ginagamit ngayon. So the exterior of a ship and its component are most steel and aluminum alloys. Kasi ngayon, they higher up the ship lighter materials, then need to keep to the center of gravity. Materials such as carbon fiber help offset the weight of the steel. Nothing that is combustible can be used. So, dati yung mga year 1500, 1400 yung mga ginagamit dati, kagaya nung paglayag ni Ferdinand Magellan, is ginagamit nila yung wooden vessel. So ngayon, nothing that combustible can be used, so wood is prohibited. So that's all for the materials. Thank you for listening.
So now let's go for the last slide, which is the ending part. Thank you. So ship construction complex of activities concerned with the design and fabrication of all marine vehicles. Ship construction today is complicated compound of art and science in the great days of sail. Vessels were designed and built on the basis of practical experience. Ship construction was predominantly a skill. With the rapid growth of the development of the physical science beginning the early 19th century, it was inevitable that hyperkinetics, the study of fluid motions, hydrostatic, the study of fluid at rest, and the science of materials construction should augment the shipbuilder's skills. So the consequences of this was rapid increase in the size, speed, commercial value, safety of ship, and the process. So ships are built according to the schedule, which managed effectively by many people such as our design team with a lot of experiences and flexible ideas, and the craftsmen who inherited a traditional techniques. So to give credit, a shipbuilder undertakes to deliver to a client by a certain date and forestated summary values a vessel with specific dimensions, capabilities, and qualities and quantities. A vessel that has been tested at trial sea is ready for sea service. So the function of a shipyard is the production of completed, and shipped in accordance with the shipbuilder's undertakings. So the raw materials for construction, as what you have said a while ago, finished items to be installed on board or delivered there. So the labor force in the yard consists of various workmen, steel workers, welders, shipwright, journers, plumbers, turners, engine fitters, electricians, rigger, and painters. So that is the end of our report, and this is the workup presentation of Group 1 and 4, entitled The Process of Ship Construction. So the members are Midshipman Angelo, Midshipman Undecisimo, Midshipman Dominguez, Midshipman Alcantara, Midshipman Raza, Midshipman MILALLOS, Midshipman Aguila, Midshipman Alibang, Midshipman GAJOLEN, Midshipman IDIOMA, and yours truly, Midshipman DIAZ. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye. So that is the end of our report.
Thank you.